To kind of finish this whole thing up, the news that you told me about the DC, was it cutting back like 25% of their publishing or distribution? But out of the books that they were canceling, it was, I believe I saw Teen Titans.
Oh, Teen Titans, yeah.
Young Justice Squad. And Suicide Squad, which actually was the whole purpose, one of the whole things that kind of brought us around to our podcast, which is actually going to be the next podcast. But but
you should just label this Watchmen Season 2.
Yeah, Watchmen Season 2. Yeah, well, we were doing our Suicide Squad, and then Superboy punched the wall again. Next thing you know, like there was a crack, and we ended up in an alternate universe. We started talking about this, but
he's so strong.
But I was gonna say, so you have the Titans TV, well, the streaming series, which rumors are supposed to go to HBO Max with season 3.
I don't know, man. I was wondering about that because Swamp Thing supposedly is going to WB.
Swamp Thing's dead,
I know
man.
it's a separate, huh?
So I heard Swamp Thing was. I mean, from my knowledge, it was dead.
No, it's good, man. I gotta say, out of every show, I liked it even better than Doom Patrol.
Well, you know what? I remember when I saw that they said that Blue Devil was going to be in it, and in the teaser trailer, I saw Blue Devil's mask. I was like, oh yeah, I got to watch this. And things I don't really know that much about
Blue Devil.
Wasn't it the guy from 90210?
Ziering? Yeah,
Ian Ziering.
And he's actually pretty good in it, man. I got to give it to him. He was like,
well, after fighting all those sharks, man.
Yeah, he got that shark money. He was good. I gotta say, Blue Devil was a little weird. They always do something kind of weird with but I wish they'd have just gone a different way with that aspect of it. But I liked it. I liked the way they did it, man. I think you really, really would enjoy that one.
Well, Amazon has had it on sale, the complete series on Blu-ray for $13, and it's actually in my cart right now. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I heard that it was really good. But so what I was gonna say is, so you got Titans, and they're saying that that's got a third season supposed to be coming out, and you still got Teen Titans Go that's airing. You've got the Suicide Squad movie that's gonna be coming out, the gun movie that's coming out, sometime. I guess when movies will actually start coming out again. So you've got those things there. Why would you cancel the 3 books that are tied to those? That is still that still helps promote whatever it is that the show helps promote the comic book in some way. The comic book helps promote the movie. Now, granted, Suicide Squad was probably going to end as we get closer to the movie coming out, so they could then launch it again. That's more aligned with the movie. But you're talking about the Suicide Squad. You could just keep the book running, and as you get closer to that point, the whole thing about them is that, hey, they might die. So if they all died and you had to create a new Suicide Squad, right before the movie, well, yeah, that's kind of what we would expect, They did
a weird thing.
It's like, come on, apes, you want to live forever?
Have you didn't read the Suicide Squad yet? Did the Tomasi run, the new one, yet?
Mm-hmm. No, you say yet. It'll probably be a while before I get around to it. But even though, I'll say this: because of your recommendation, I will probably give it a shot sooner than later.
I think it's really good, but I will add a caveat to that. The thing about it is that the way they started out is Suicide Squad's going after another team, and then that team kind of joins with Suicide Squad. I don't want to get into the how, what, when, and why, but those characters. There's a hard. I guess the biggest problem with modern characters is that I guess so many great things have been done, and then they're like Batman, Superman, all these characters, they've been done and they're so iconic that you don't want to overlap or do anything. So you've got character design and you've got the powers and everything. So there's not a lot left to play with. So they have all these new characters, man, that are just so not iconic.
Right.
That they're not iconic. So it's not that the Suicide Squad team that they came up with is bad. It's just that all these characters they came up with that are good in their own way, but they don't look iconic. so they don't stay with you. You even have a hard time. I couldn't name you one of the guys that are on the team. And it's not because that I didn't like some of them. It's just that they don't have that name. They don't have that symbol. They don't have that power that pushes over to the point where you're like, oh, that's the next thing. Because you'll never remember who they are. They're all character actors playing with like really C-listers when you're talking about the Suicide Squad. And you remember the Suicide Squad guys, but you don't remember this other team. And that was the weakness of that book. You'll have to read it to see what I'm talking about, but that's the problem in modern comics. Because you've got these properties that they don't want you to touch, or then they bastardize it, do the other thing where they make too many of something like Spider-Verse, where you got a bazillion people with the same power, and then you water down the brand. So anyway, but Suicide Squad, like, and then here's the other thing too. Harley Quinn got canceled. Issue 75 is her last book. It comes out next week. That's another one that secretly got disposed of, and they're saying that was planned. No. Nobody plans for issue 75 to be the last book. It's gone. And Harley's on that same team as Suicide Squad. And what does she look like? She looks like the character from the movie.
I saw something
really popular. Is she? Is she that popular? If she's so popular, why is her book getting canceled? Why Suicide Squad? You see, like, not all the Harley fans are going to follow her everywhere she goes. That's another myth. It's got to be something that people can relate to. So even though I can appreciate what Tomasi did with it, I can also see why it's ending. Same thing with Teen Titans. Teen Titans is already disbanding. Damian Wayne, your favorite Robin of all time, he's not even leader of the team anymore. He's walking away, and like they're kind of like all up in the air. But who do you have left? You got Kid Flash, who is the Kid Flash that nobody recognizes because it's not Wally West. And then you've got this weird Asian guy that's a Bubble Boy type character that I can never remember his name. And then you've got Crush, who's a ripoff of Lobo because he's his daughter he should never have a daughter. And then you've got Dejin, who was made up just for... So you're left with nobody, man. You're left with nobody that anybody knows that is the Titans. And I understand what your point is. You're and I agree. They should have something tied into those books to draw people in from the movies and whatever. Problem with it is that they made them unrecognizable, just like Marvel did when they were printing their books when they did the movies, because Tony Stark wasn't Iron Man anymore. Hulk, Banner wasn't Hulk. I don't know what they're doing, man. It's just like, I think it's what you're talking about. There's guys in control or somebody's making decisions that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, what you're describing as like these teams, like the Titans team and then the Suicide Squad team. It reminds me of the Justice League team right before Crisis. Mm-hmm. Where you had it was like Steel and Vibe and Gypsy.
Oh yeah, where they killed them all.
Right, and I'm like,
but
I mean,
I can't. These characters are so bad that you can name those guys. See, I know who you're talking about. I'm telling you, man, you read that book and then tell me that you can remember one of their damn names, unless you write it down and make a. Like, here's the thing about Vixen. I'm not going to forget who she is. Steel, I know who that is. Their costumes are iconic. They still. That's what I'm saying. That look, that thing that gets in your head, like Vibe. I still know who that is, even if they didn't do the TV show. And I barely even knew those guys back then. But you remember them. These guys, no.
I was going to say, unfortunately, that's all I remember about that team. Like, I remember those three characters, and I think Martian Manhunter was on the team, but I don't remember anybody else on that team. I can't even like see their faces. I think of that one cover. I think they're all standing there on the cover, like looking at the reader, and where the other people are, I just have like a black silhouette. I can't even like think of who they were.
It's crazy times.
And I think Steel was like, wasn't he like a robot or something? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they didn't know it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, the whole point of our podcast is to talk about our love of comics. And even though this really wasn't so much a love of comics episode, it at its core it is, because we're talking about something that's making us upset, and you don't get this upset about something that you don't care about. It's like that line from Fist of the North Star when Shin tells Ken that he really loved Julia. And he's like, well, of course you did, because no one could love someone more passionately than a madman. It's like, we wouldn't be this angry if we didn't love it so much.
You know what you tell somebody when you don't care anymore and they're leaving. You know what you say to them, right?
Well,
You say
bye.
it all the time. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes. You did it. You knew what I was going to You were all on that too, man. I was like, oh, he knows, and it happened.
I just have to say, man, I was actually talking to my brother yesterday, and I mentioned this, and I just have to say thank you so much, Powers Booth, for delivering that line so well and giving me something I can just use for years. It's so fantastic.
I like it too. I don't say it, but I like it. It's yours now. I'm giving it. I can't take it, but I like hearing it said. As long as it's not said to me, you've said it to me, and it hurts.
So yeah, I mean, and and I guess really all of this is really almost like just a passionate plea to be like, please, they don't. You know what I mean, just right the ship, man. We don't have to hit.
Make it stop. Make it stop.
Stop. He's already dead.
It smells like burning. It's just like this big lump of. It's like, oh my God! What have they done?
Here comes the meat wagon. But I mean, this isn't a Titanic recreation like Cruise. Like you can not hit the iceberg. It's okay. It's okay to go around it. Or as I guess the story that I remember hearing about or reading was that, if you're gonna hit it full on. Don't scrape the side. You just bust right into it.
The only thing I can say that I was going to text you, but it was too much to text. And I'm not going to go too long more about it because we're almost done. I mean, we've gone over. But here's the thing: the only thing I can say about it is, if it does crash, they can rebuild it, and it could come out better, possibly. I was thinking maybe a Marvel Knights situation could happen.
Yeah.
Like where they kind of bring it back for a little bit. They pick the right people. They get somebody that actually knows what the hell they're doing, and they can get the right people in there that actually care and know what they're doing. And that's the only thing I could say that like when it gets a revamp that it could be good. But I hope we don't get a new 52 or something.
Yeah, right. I completely agree. It's the one thing that could come out of it if it does crash is that you could end up having it come back stronger. Because if you get the right people, and that made me think of when Christopher Priest was talking about doing Black Panther, and how when Joe Quesada first said he wanted him for it, he said no, and then when he was like, "Hey, we want you to do this book," and he said no, and then someone else was like, "Hey, they want you to do this book and at least hear them out," and he did, but. It's not just because I've talked we've talked constantly. I think we've talked almost as much about him as we have Chris Claremont, but it's not so much about him per se as it was Joe Quesada and Jim Palmiotti looking at it and saying, these are the people that are going to make this good, and we can't settle for anything less. And just the tenacity of it to say, this is what I think is going to work, and this is what I think is going to be best. And if it does crash, and we do have to rebuild it, like I don't know, I don't think $6 million would probably do it, but if we do have to put $60 million into it to make it better, you have to find the right people, whether they're people that are known or unknown, the right people for the job that are going to be able to bring it back to life.
I always thought it was weird that Joe Quesada was the guy that they picked, like in Palmiotti, because they were doing Ash. They had their event comics and everything, and Painkiller Jane, that was a forgotten property, but like that was theirs, and they even had a
Painkiller,
TV show, you know.
Painkiller Jane, 22 Brides. Yeah.
Yep. And so
And
they had a lot of stuff.
I think most people
they hired. Well,
I think most people even forget that there was a Painkiller Jane. It's like that's one of those things where I remember like every other year that it existed, and then like a week later I'll forget, and then again I'll like a year later or so I'll be like, oh yeah, there was a Painkiller Jane TV series.
yeah, and like so, I don't know what they were paying back then. Like, it's probably like Netflix deals now. It probably wasn't as much as you think. It was probably better than nothing. And like so, like, those guys. Basically, what I'm saying is like they had their own company, but I don't think it was doing that well. Either the check was I never. But anyway, I was going to say like I never asked them. Like I know Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada personally. I don't, but I have had interactions with them as a fan slash wannabe trying to get into and talk to them about certain things for brief intervals. I'm not saying I'm buddy with them, but like I never asked them when I had the chance that why did they go over to Marvel Knights? Because I actually because here's the thing, when they finally started up Marvel Knights and Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada were doing Daredevil, I did talk to Joe Quesada because this was like when you could still get to him and stuff, and he was at San Diego, and I just walked up to him with my Daredevil books. It's like, why'd you leave? And he basically, because he took over, was it editor in chief? Like he took over, and so and I was like, man, because what sucks for me as a fan is like I love like consistent art, and he dropped off the book right when it was in a really good part, and like I was just kind of sad that he left, but he had other duties. But here's the thing, like to jump from event to Marvel, I wonder who started that up. Was it just a conversation, or like was event done officially, or did they shut down event to go do Marvel Lights because the check was so big? I would love to know that because I'm sure it's out there, but I just wonder why that happened because they had their own thing going.
There are a couple of videos on YouTube that talk about that, and I've caught little snippets of it, and I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I haven't watched or read enough to be able to feel like I can really speak on it with I don't know, definitively. But my understanding from what I did hear and read, or watch and read, was that there were a handful of characters that were like, these are properties that are something can be done with, and we need new life. And they were basically kind of given these from Marvel, like, we would like for you guys to do something with these. And they were, they weren't like an imprint of event, but basically they were like saying, my understanding from myself was that Marvel kind of went to them, and I think it might have been because you had these guys that were doing their own thing that weren't trying to be too big, and they could stay where they were. I remember it's not the first thing that Quesada ever did, but the Ray limited series.
It was the first thing he did. It was, man. Like that first issue, I think was his first book.
That was a real. I mean, the book was really cool. The art was fantastic, and this is before he did. I guess before he did Azrael, and then see, God, I got to think back now.
He kind of looked like Magnola at that point. Remember, he kind of had a Magnola vibe almost going there.
And did he do some X Factor too? I kind of feel like
was
he
after
did.
though.
Right, but I'm saying like because he left DC, and I was like it was after Larry Stroman, but anyway, it was like he was a guy that was really making a name for himself, and I'm not gonna say he was rising fast, but he had a style. It's kind of like when Jay Lee came on the scene, and people were like, who the hell is this guy doing Namor, right? And it's like, what? And if you go back and you look at that first Namor, was it Namor 50 or whatever, that Jay Lee? I mean, it kind of looks like Jason Momoa Aquaman.
He kind of looks like I think he was trying to be like Bisley.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember picking a book up because I was like, it had like a Bisley look to it. Yeah. But
have you seen his stuff now, man? It's incredible. Like he he's really come a long way.
Yeah, but it's like most people, like, you saw their art and it was something different about it that I think it immediately drew you in and started drawing a lot of people in. And but he then left and started doing his own book, which he could have continued to rise as a Marvel or DC artist, but he kind of went and did his own book, and it was doing really well. And the thing is, again, not having talked to him, but as a and the thing is, I wasn't even reading Ash, but as a an observer during that time frame and a comic book reader, apparently he was doing it, and he was doing just fine doing his own book, and was pretty content with it, right? I mean, he didn't feel. I mean, it wasn't one of those things where he was doing some covers for whatever or some fill-ins. It was like, I'm doing my book. I'm happy with my book, and events growing, and then and I think I think also him being a New York guy too. The whole thing.
This is a side, like, because they stayed in New York. I know that, and they were still going to the bar. There's some bar. I saw him talking about this not too long ago. He was doing an interview with Humberto Ramos, and he did a Ash book too, Fahrenheit or something like that, and like that's how he ended up getting a chance to do Spider-Man, was through him. And like he was actually getting kind of teary-eyed about it. I guess he's kind of emotional and stuff, and he was getting all choked up about it. But like, basically, like, Quesada and them, they say that there was this bar or something where everybody would hang out, and they could go in and they could kind of shut it down, and everybody could have talks and stuff. So he was still in the city, is basically where I'm going with it. Like, him and Jimmy Palmiotti were there in town, so I'm sure it wasn't hard to get in touch with them, with other guys and stuff, to say, hey, do you want to do this or that? And I'm sure the check was big enough. I mean, you've heard the stories. He lives in this big skyrise and big apartment, and people go over there to watch kung fu movies with them and stuff, like every whatever night. And like,
actually, I've never heard that story at all.
yeah, because Jimmy Palmiotti said that all the guys would go over, and I've heard other people say that too. Like, I think somebody was reading something about Aubrey Sitterson or something, said that he was working for him, and then they go up there and they watch his stuff, and he had like, all these expensive things, because he was making the big money, like so. But anyway, it's.
But I was going to say about Ash.
To twist his arm, huh?
I was going to say about Ash is that from my understanding, and I've got a couple books, and I remember kind of reading it, but it was such to me, the book came across as like this labor of love, and it was almost like a note to New York City, because you had these other books that take place, whether it's a fictitious New York City like Metropolis or Gotham, or wherever it actually is New York, and the five boroughs, like in the Marvel books, they're fictitious versions where his Ash took place in New York, and it had the New York vibe. It was like the place that he lived, and it was about a fireman, and and like it seemed to be very grounded in reality and this love note to like the city, and while at the same time
and firemen themselves, I think he thought they were unsung heroes. I think that's kind of where he was going with that,
and we're talking about way before like September 11th too,
Oh yeah, way before. I remember he was at Heroes, man. Like, I actually got to go behind their table and talk to Jimmy, and it's like to me, it's a big deal. Like, I'm not trying to portray myself as like I know these guys. Like, I'm sure. No,
right. The table's like a velvet rope. I mean,
yeah. I walked behind and I talked to them and stuff, and they had a fire truck there. There's fire. It was. I remember. They were accessible at some points, man. Like, where you could actually just talk to them for a while. Like, they actually pulled me behind and talked to me, like their table. They talked to me for. I mean, it was at least 20 minutes, man. They were really cool. I mean, they were super cool, and I've had interactions with other times, and but like I said, now we're talking 2022. It's a long time ago, man.
But yeah, I remember seeing them at Heroes, and I remember they were big, but they weren't like they weren't anywhere near where they are now. And I never really talked to them because I wasn't reading Ash, and I didn't really have a lot to talk about, and but. Yeah, I mean, and even now, like I talked to Palmiotti at Heroes Con maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It was during the time he was doing Jonah Hex,
He's
during
super
52.
cool.
Which yeah, oh my God, he's an incredibly nice guy,
He's
very
awesome.
personable, and I'm a pretty, I'm not gonna say I'm a big Jonah Hex fan, because whenever I say that, I think that when you say you're a big fan, then that you've like read all the books, or you can, if someone can toss something at you, be like, yes, I have a strong affinity for the character, and I like a lot of Jonah Hex stuff, and I thought that he was writing a damn good Jonah Hex book. And I mean, Palmiotti's, I think, a really good writer too. But yeah, I mean, I never talked to them back then, and I haven't seen Quesada since Heroes, like X number of years ago. But yeah, I mean, I think there was so much heart and love in that book, and that's what made it so strong. And for Marvel, that was looking at this and like, these guys went and did the way they did, and then and the other thing is, they didn't rush it. Now, I'm not gonna say that Image rushed it, but they didn't rush growing Event. Event seemed like it grew very naturally and expanded very slowly into Painkiller Jane, into 22 Brides, into some of the other stuff that they had. And then it was and then why they left that, I'm sure part of the them taking over the or starting the Marvel Knights imprint probably had to do with, there was probably part of that contract that said, okay, but you're not doing this anymore, because I
Yeah.
can't have I can't have you trying to bring life into our characters, right? And then also using that to promote your characters even higher, because it would happen, even if they weren't trying to do it themselves, it would happen.
I think
Oh,
you're right too. Like I never thought about it like that. Like you didn't hear the big rumbling like image. You didn't hear the screw these guys. We're not working for these jagoffs anymore. we're gonna do our own thing. Like it was very low key. They just did it. People liked it or they didn't, and they just did their thing. And like because they were professionals about it and were cool with everybody, it was like I mean, I never heard anybody ever say that Marvel or DC was pissed off about Event like Image. So
yeah.
it's kind of interesting, man. It's that bubble of like, it's kind of a forgotten thing, but it's like that's interesting that they just kind of got a pass for whatever reason. It wasn't like a big sin to do what they did. It actually helped them at the end. They just said we're talented, we know it, we'll show you we can do it our own. They did it, and then they just went back.
And and the thing is, if I had my own like little, I mean, obviously I do have my own like little like publishing company, but if I had a regular book coming out, or a couple regular books coming out, and Marvel said, hey, we would like for you to come in and work on these group of books right here. We're going to make you this deal. You'll be able to put out X number of books. And we'll see them through to, they'll be able to stay, we won't cancel them for like the first 2 years or whatever it is. And they say, but you can't work on these anymore as long as you're working with us. You have to put your books on hold. I would, obviously I'd say, hey, let me at least write them to a stopping point. So give me 2 issues or whatever it is to write them to a good stopping point.
And see, that's a
But
good question. See, because I didn't read it either. Like you, like said, like I had some of the books, but I gotta be honest, like I didn't read a lot of them. I just looked at the art and thought it was really beautiful, but I didn't buy every issue or anything. So it makes me wonder. Maybe they told their story. Maybe they did see it through. I don't know.
and I say I don't know either. But I was gonna say, if they asked me to do that, are you telling me that you want me to come work in the Marvel playground with all those characters, with all that history?
You're not gonna say no.
Yeah, damn right. I'm not gonna say no. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. We're talking for me. I don't know about them. For me, that's been that's been a childhood dream to be able to work in. Obviously, I have to work for Marvel, but be able to work with the characters of the Marvel universe. Come
Yeah.
on, come
No.
on.
Nobody would ever. I wouldn't blame you at all. And like anybody that doesn't understand that, or just somebody that wasn't into it anyway. I mean, if you're not going to say no to that, I don't care who you are. You're stupid if you do, because if it doesn't work, just go back to what you're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a danger you won't be able to go back, but the thing is, because you did that, you probably will be able to go somewhere else and do something, or go to DC or whatever. It
Yeah,
is
I
what
mean,
it is.
it only helps. I mean, it only helps you're done in Broad Street because you go and you do this thing, and then then you go back to your book, and now maybe people who like say because he was I don't want to say he was on the cusp, but I mean he was rising. I don't think he had hit his peak yet, but he was rising, and then went somewhere else when he was rising. So you come back as this in this form right here. You've kind of like shot back up to like a higher point. So now people know you more. When you go back to event, yeah, you mean events now like twice as big as it was before. I mean, so yeah, it can only hurt. I mean, help.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, so heck yeah, I would do that. And I really can't imagine
I
anybody that
don't
would look at it that would say no.
I don't remember the timeline, but like Valiant, was that before or after event? What's the timeline? Was it did Valiant lead
Valiant?
into X Factor? Did Valiant lead into him getting work at Marvel, or did it the Valiant after Marvel?
I think see, Valiant came out. I'm trying to think what was going on at the time. So I remember Valiant was existing around the same time that Image started. I think Valiant was maybe maybe a year and a half old when Image started. Because I was working at a comic book store at the time, and I remember like when Spawn #1s, all those came out. But I also remember when Valiant was launching some of its other books. Like see, they had Solar and Exo and Magnus and what was that other one? I think it was like the one that really kicked it off, Harbinger. And then they
See,
started
those are their
launching some of
first
the
wave of stuff, but then Ninjak and Exo Manowar were the ones that I remember that
well,
Palmiotti did,
Eternal.
and he did the Zero, so that was after they had already been doing it for a while. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
guessing
so
that
I think it had to come after because then they had Arch and Armstrong and Eternal
yeah,
Warrior. Because I think we talked this before. There was the it was that big connecting cover that was done by Frank Miller.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and the other thing with the Marvel Knights stuff is again talking about like bringing in like the talent to do a book. I didn't think that the Punisher, I think it was like a 4-issue or 6-issue series, I didn't where he was a supernatural.
Ghost
He was,
guns.
right. I didn't think that was a good book, but you're also saying, I mean, they brought in Bernie Wrightson, man. I mean, no matter what, man, that book was nice looking. I mean, even that cover, that first cover, he's got the sigil on his head, and he's got the two guns and stuff. That's pretty awesome. I
I
mean,
saw some guy review that recently, like saying that he thought it was terrible at the time, but revisiting it, he didn't think it was so bad. Like I never read it,
it's
man. That was one of the ones I skipped. Like to be honest, I missed a lot of the Marvel Knights books. I think Daredevil was the main one that I focused in on, and then I liked Black Widow.
oh
It
yeah,
was
that Black Widow
J.G.
was
Jones.
yeah,
Yeah,
J.G. Jones. That was that
yeah.
was that was tight, and it was pretty
And then
cool.
I
I mean, well,
missed Black
like
Panther. So
I was gonna say, the like the Black Widow movie, whenever it comes out, like the other Black Widow, the blonde Black Widow
yeah,
that started, and if to my understanding, I started from that series. But yeah, that J.G. Jones artwork was beautiful. My God, that was so nice.
remember Midas? Like there's a scene with Midas, like where it's like a 2-page spread or something. Like I always thought that was really cool because he basically looks like the original Tales to Astonish Iron Man. Just in gold.
I don't remember that. I remember the one cover. I don't remember. The. I can't really tell you. I remember the story all that well. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah. No, I don't
But
either,
yeah.
man.
But I mean,
Oh,
like
and
Black Panther.
Marvel Boy.
Oh, Marvel Boy was nice.
Yeah, that
I
maybe
really like
I'm
that.
getting them mixed up. I think Marvel Boy was the one with Midas. Sorry, because J.G. Jones did the Black Widow too. That's why I'm getting them mixed up.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like Black Panther, the Daredevil, all those the Marvel Knights books. I mean, they were pretty nice, man. Like I say, I didn't really care that much for the Punisher book, But it was different, and I do at least appreciate it for being different.
Was Inhumans Marvel Knights too? Jay Lee?
Huh?
Was Marvel Knights Inhumans as well?
Oh my God, that 12-issue human story, that was, oh, I've talked about that before. I don't think I've ever talked about it on the podcast, but and they did a motion comic of that. You can get that on, like, I don't know if it's on Blu-ray, but I know you can get it on DVD. Dude, I love that. That was like one of the things I was really kind of hoping when, even though the Inhumans TV series was not good, the last 3 episodes are really good, but you do have to kind of go through the rest of it, before you get there. But I was really hoping they were going to take some elements of that. But man, that, I don't think I've ever read an Inhuman story that was that good. That really kind of like made the characters work, especially like, what was it, Karnak, he's like my favorite Inhuman, and Medusa was, dude, if you have not read that, I would say read it, find the motion comic book, shoot a bootlegger. That series was fantastic. Man, it was Paul Jenkins, I believe.
Was that Marvel Knights though?
You know what? I think it was. Hold on, just one moment. I mean, I guess you can still keep talking. So I'm just gonna grab my motion comic because I have the book, and I'm gonna grab my motion comic from over here.
I might be wrong. I just was wondering, like, because I didn't get it. So
yeah, it's Jay Lee, Paul Jenkins, and it is Marvel Knights.
Okay, yeah. See, my favorite Inhuman is Lockjaw. The sidekick.
I was a little far away from the microphone, but yeah, Jay Lee, Paul Jenkins, and Marvel Knights. And didn't your boy kill Watchdog? I mean, Lockjaw.
They did, but then he's not dead. He's not dead. You thought he was dead, but he's not dead. Because what happened was it was like a fake out. Like they did the death of Inhumans, and like there's this character Vox or something like that. I can't remember his name. He's like some Kree warrior or whatever. But he made it look like he killed all these people, but he didn't. So it was like a fake out.
Well, yeah. So
sorry, spoiler. Death of the Humans is bullshit, basically. Even though they said that it wasn't bullshit, because the writer said that it's like, well, it's called Death of Inhumans for a reason. Where they did kill Inhumans, but none of the important ones. Well, except for maybe one. Actually, I don't know if that took either, because I can't remember, but I think your guy, Karnak, did get killed. I'm not sure.
No, he's back alive now.
He's back, okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
He was alive in Civil War II, so.
Well, this is after Civil War II.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this was like Death of Inhumans, man. This happened like last year.
Oh. I'm sorry. I mean, honestly, to me, Inhumans have never really been all that popular, except for Black Bolt and Karnak, but and Lockjaw, of course. And I shouldn't say it like that, because I do like Medusa. She's been, so you've said it. You said it yourself. There's no such thing as a bad character, only a bad writer, with some exceptions. But you put someone like Medusa in, when she was in Fantastic Four and things like that, she's fantastic. I think Black Bolt normally is always fantastic. Karnak, if you can use him properly, and of course Lockjaw. Everyone just loves Lockjaw. I mean, you just can't not love Lockjaw. But they were never anything, with exception of that Marvel Knights run. They were never anything that I really thought was all that great. So when you say, oh, they killed them off, I'm like, in my heart they were already dead.
I'm gonna get a bulldog, and I'm just gonna get like a tuning fork and just make a little crown for him, so he has a brown house.
I thought you were gonna shove it into his skull.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna put electricity in it, like, and see if he teleports. I'm sure he'll be fine. Hey, dude, I don't want to say anything, but like our whole purpose of what we were talking about, we're hour 46 minutes.
Well, I was gonna close this off, and then we can actually get to what we were gonna talk about for real. But yeah, this will be.
Here's something you'll really like.
Okay, so wait, actually, I think we kind of Suicide Squad this story, right? Because it started off with one thing, and then we just killed it. And then, hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of In the Gutters. We're actually going to start talking about Suicide Squad and our Suicide Squad team on our next episode, but there was so much to talk about, and so much. I guess we're kind of venting, but like I was trying to say earlier, this is more of a plea to like just right the ship, man, before it goes astray. And that, I mean, like I say, anytime someone's angry about something, not anytime, but for the most part, when someone's angry about something, it's because they feel very passionate about it, and we're upset because we feel very passionate about it. We don't want we want something bad to happen to something that we've has been a part of our lives for so long.
When you see a loved one driving off the road, you grab that wheel. Jesus ain't gonna do it. You got to do it.
That's right.
So
and
you
like,
stop them.
Oh, okay. I thought we were like they weren't like going off the cliff fast enough. Like no. Just
no. You said right the ship. You didn't say drive it off into the iceberg.
Right.
And it explodes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You grab that wheel and you straighten it up, and you're like, bitch, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And that's not a female thing. I call guys bitches all the time.
Yeah. You gotta. You can call anybody that.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, you do. You just like be like, hey, you are so far off the GPS right now. we got to get back to home base. So yeah, so that's really all we're saying. We're just saying, hey guys, come on, let's get back to where we belong. So thank you again for checking out another episode of In the Gutters. I don't want to say that I hope you guys felt the same way we do, but I kind of do, because again, we're passionate, and we hope that you have the same passion we do. Because it's comic books, man. It's comic books. This is where you say something too.
I was waiting for you to say I'm Turk182. Like I was like, well, you're gonna go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, I was gonna let you add in like your closing piece before we actually did the sign off.
This is my closing piece.
Okay.
This is Wallcrawler One, and this has been In the Gutters, and to quote a great man. Bye.
See, now I can't do my sign off because you ended it too perfectly. So.